Hello Melbourne, hello Bad Dates of Melbourne team, how are you going? I've got 3 gross, hilarious stories for you, and I'm going to be talking Tinder tips, but let's get straight into it with story number 1, something that you're going to find quite gross. Hi Ali, I have a story from years ago. I was very shy, even into my late 20s. And my mum wanted me to meet a nice lady. We've all been there, right? Like my mum. Hi, Mum. So she tried to hook me up with a young friend of hers. I met her and was pleasantly surprised that she was quite a nice person and rather attractive. Go, Mum. I didn't hesitate, and we exchanged numbers and set up a nice lunch date at a local fancy food place. Pretty good so far, right? By the way, this is live, so leave me your comments as what you're thinking is going to happen next, and I'll read them out. Lunch went well. There was some good chat, also a lot of silence. I was driving her home after, doing a bit of small talk, but also thinking to myself, is there a spark there? I'm not sure. Then, the smell hit me. First, I gave her the benefit of the doubt, assuming something outside of the car smelled. But after a while, it was obvious she had let go a silent fart. It was awful. I'm not talking like, oh God, she farted. I'm saying, oh God, is she sick? Does she have some sort of condition? That's not normal. The smell stayed in the car all the way to her place. I could still smell it once I... I'm so sorry, guys. This is the most ridiculous, hilarious story. I could still smell it once I saw her to the door and I got back in the car. There was no second date. Now, look, have I ever farted on a date? No, I haven't. Have you farted on a date? Let me know. I know we had a story recently on Bad Dates of Melbourne where a girl farted after the date, and it was quite the potent fart. Now, let me tell you, this story I'm reading out just now was actually received before that. So believe it or not, it is not a response. I've got Remy saying hello and Paul saying another poo story. Lol, Paul, what page did you think you're on? This is Bad Dates of Melbourne. I'm surprised that every story is not a poo story. Jennifer says, farts don't have Mexican for lunch. Look, if you do have a date coming up, you probably do want to plan in advance with what sort of food you're eating. Stay away from the Mexican, the beans, the falafels, anything like that makes you a little bit, on the nose. Hello, Ali from Sarah. How are you going, Paul? And Paul is laughing because he's still laughing about another poo story. Paul, again, what did you expect? This is Bad Dates of Melbourne. We actually had a submission quite a while ago about a single person who had been single for 9 years. 9 years? And in that entire 9 years, because this person had never had a partner, no one had heard them fart. In that entire period of time, no one had heard them fart. So I suppose there are a lot of drawbacks of single life, including the fact that no one will hear your farts. Again, we only cover the most important, critical news here on Bad Dates of Melbourne. So someone said clenching is key. That is true. Clenching is key. I think if you're on a date, probably the best thing to do is exit. If you can exit, get out of there. And, try and get outside and just step out for a breath of fresh air and, let it rip. Remy said, look, we've all done a fart that's lingered. So unfortunate it was in the car and couldn't escape. And then she follows up and says, if you fart and no one hears it, did you even fart? Now look, Remy, I don't know if you know how farts work, but if you fart and no one hears it, it does still exist because you can smell that, baby. Believe me, It exists. You can still smell it. Danny has successfully blamed the cat for some bedtime gas. Well, we all know now that it wasn't the cat and it was you because you just posted it on social media, so you can't get away with that anymore now, can you? It was a good excuse up until then. I reckon we get on to our next story, but please, I would love more comments. You know what? I would love a comment from you. Tell me, have you farted on a date? Or if you need to fart, how do you get around it and kind of do it, you know, in a more sophisticated way? So let's get on to the next story. Now, this is the one that I mentioned in the tag of this post, and I've been sitting on it for a while, and it's probably one of the more unusual stories that I've ever had submitted to Bad Dates of Melbourne. It is truly different, and you know, it really says something about dating culture. So as I read it out, I'd love to hear what you think. Because it's definitely a truly unusual one. Let's get started on story 2. It's actually not even a bad date story. It's a near miss bad date story. A while after my marriage ended, I decided to try online dating. So I went onto RSVP. RSVP, now that's some memories back in my mid-20s, right? A guy started talking to me straight away. He was onto the fact I had no idea what I was doing, so he sent me a few pages of online dating do's and don'ts. We were chatting about his dating history. It's not going well so far, is it? And I asked how he'd found it. He then sends me a detailed spreadsheet of all of the dates he's been on. This is happening in Melbourne, guys. They had duration of the dates, the location of the dates, and the reason for the relationship ending. Tell me, do you document your dates like this? Let me know. It was way more info than I needed, but okay. One of those listings was drank too much and not a good mum. It also listed the suburb that the person was from. Now, after chatting further, we agreed to meet up. In the interests of safety before the date, I messaged my girlfriend with a screenshot of this guy and details of our date. She shoots me back an immediate message. Can you see where this is going? She says, "Oh my God, I dated him." Yep. She was one of the women in the spreadsheet. She was drinks too much and not a good mum. Well, not being keen on my friend's seconds, I sent him a pic of the two of us out drinking and being bad mums. She's an outstanding mum and human being. I decided not to go out with him. He's not the kind of guy I would date anyway. Now that's weird, right? That's weird. Remy, so many red flags. Jennifer, if your spreadsheet is all bad dates, it's not them, it's you. Well, that's very, very true. Look, can I say, I actually did excuse me, keep something called a date diary for a while. So it's this book I was given by a mate, and it has a little kind of thing for you to fill out for each date you go on, like an online dating diary. So you fill in like the date, who it was, you know, what the first few moments were like, was it, you know, what were the vibes like, you're going to see them again, a rating out of 5, all of this stuff. So for a period of time, I was keeping all of my dates in this little diary book. And look, I only did it for a couple of months, but I read through that book recently on Instagram, and just so many bad dates, so many tragic memories. And look, a lot of the guys were nice, but you know, it's just, I think a lot of dates you just kind of leave in your past. Paula Rooney, who even knows how to use Excel Who has time to do a spreadsheet? Good bloody question. Good bloody question, not me. I like, the diary thing went out the window, and who can really be bothered? Remy says she actually used to journal about my dates. I don't think that's too weird, but sharing it with potential dates is, you know what, it kind of strikes me as a pickup artist kind of thing. Every so often I can kind of get these vibes from the stories that they have a bit of a pickup artist vibe. In fact, we had a story just the other day with a man who spun his date around. Now, I'll tell you guys, that is a very, very clear pickup artist thing to do. So if someone's spinning you around, red flags, Excel spreadsheet, red flags. Shay, I almost wish I would have so much gold for you. Sarah says, please share some of your stories on BDOM from your diary. Look, I have already shared so many of my stories on BDOM. I posted most of them when the page started, when I was desperate for content, but they are still there. I should post a few of them soon. I might take some photos of the diary and blur out the names and put them on my Instagram, which is Alita Bryden with an extra N on the end, because it's just hilarious. And to be honest, with Bad Dates of Melbourne, it got started because, I personally have been on countless bad dates. And it all went from there. But, while we're on the topic of dates, I'd like to give you just a tip. Just a tip from me. And by that, what I mean is some Tinder tips or some online dating tips from me. Now, I'd like to stress that completely not affiliated with Tinder, Bumble, nothing, completely unaffiliated. These are my personal observations. I'm not paid by any dating apps, so what I'm telling you is my genuine feelings about dating apps and what I've learned from my personal experience. I've never actually shared this stuff on Bad Dates of Melbourne before. As you may know, the media has called me the ultimate Tinder addict, so I know maps, guys. I know maps, and I'm prepared to share all of the tips, just the tips, with you guys today. So just getting started, you guys have asked me many times what apps I actually recommend. There are only 3 apps that I am currently on at the moment. OkCupid is one. It's probably my least favorite of the 3, but it was good to me for many years. OkCupid, it has its place, it's worth a go. But the 2 main apps that I use are Tinder and Hinge. Now, people will talk trash about Tinder. Guys, everyone is on Tinder. The good people are on Tinder. The bad people are on Tinder. Everyone is on Tinder. It is worth a go. You've got to be in it to win it, is the way I think about it. So, I'm on Tinder. Everyone's on Tinder. So, if you want to meet people, I reckon Tinder's the way to go. Hinge is fantastic as well. Really good. They call it the relationship app. When you swipe on it, you actually get prompts. So when you go through the profiles, you kind of have conversation starters to talk to people. So it's a real kind of soft, nice approach to getting to know people. So Tinder and Hinge is what I am recommending. OkCupid's pretty good as well. Anything else? Don't use it. I've pretty much swiped on everything, but not into it. Let me just see if you guys have got any comments on that. Mason says Bumble. I've used Bumble before. I no longer use Bumble. Shay says also, I'm the 3rd person in 32 years to pronounce your name correctly. I'm very pleased. Stephen also is recommending Bumble. So going back to the dating apps, I don't want to give you tips that you've already heard. We all know that you need nice photos. We all know that you need a bio. I want to give you some real basic good tips. So one tip that I give you, just a tip, is if your profile's older than 3 months old, delete it. Delete it, start fresh. You'll be put to the start of the pile. You'll be reprioritized and you'll get more matches. I suggest when you restart your Tinder profile, we're getting real strategic here, restart it in a place that has high population density. Yes, I actually said that, high population density, because when your profile is new, you're getting lots of matches, so you want to be where all of the people are, not out in the middle of nowhere. So make the most of the fact you've got a new profile. So I've talked to people about this before and they said, Ali, I don't want to get rid of my profile. I don't want to start again. I've got 500 matches. I've got 1,000 matches. I don't want to get rid of them. Well, guys, If you haven't spoken to your matches in the past few days, they're probably dormant anyway. So why not get out there and meet new people? I mean, it's not a popularity contest. We actually want to meet people who talk back to us, engage with us and meet with us, or whatever we want. So yeah, it's all about getting those new fresh matches. Also, message your matches straight away. So dating apps know how prompt you are, and they'll give you a little bit of a special treatment if you show you're engaged with the app. So things like messaging your match straight away will give you the edge. Now, I know what you're thinking, like, oh, am I going to look despo? Am I going to look too keen? I don't care about that. I really don't care. If you meet the right person, someone who is on your page, they're not going to be fussing about the fact that you sent the first message. Just send that first message when you get the app. Next up, don't swipe right on everybody. Now, I know this can be tempting because not everybody is getting heaps and heaps and heaps of matches, but dating apps know if you're swiping right on everybody. Now, what they want is for everybody to have a really valuable experience, think about who they're matching with, and they want the matches to be meaningful. Now, if you're right swiping on everyone, they're going to say, oh, you're not making meaningful matches. You're becoming less of a priority in other people's feeds. So don't right swipe on everyone. Just right swipe on the people who you think you're going to have a connection with, or you think you're going to have possibilities with. Possibilities of any type, guys. Going on to bios. So I read a lot of bios, and like some of them are like copy paste from, best Tinder bio when you Google. I mean, guys, original bios is where it's at. Now, what I want you to think, everyone has similar interests. Like, I like travel, I like food, I like going out. That's fantastic. I want you to be specific. If you like food, what sort of food do you like? What is your favorite food? Do you like to cook? Where's your favorite restaurant? If you like travel, where's your favorite place that you've been? Is there a memorable experience that you've had there? When's your next trip? Be specific. Travel, fashion, staying in, wine, cheese. We all like those things. Get really specific about your hobbies, interests, and you. What makes you special? I know you're a special person because you're following Bad Dates of Melbourne and you've made the effort to watch this and get Tinder tips. So you are a special person. I honestly believe that. So, shout out about what makes you special and unique. Photos. Now, excuse me, I'm not just going to tell you just good photos. We all know good photos. What I think is no group photos ever. Ever. I don't want to see anyone else on your Tinder profile but you. That is valuable real estate. And you only have a few seconds to make an impression. So what I want is every space to be filmed with things that say something about you, not other people. Now, people can get really confused and be like, I've got no good photos of myself. I don't know what to put up. You have to get good photos of yourself. So if you're stuck, here is what I recommend. This is if you're really stuck. 2 cheats. Just the tip from me. 2 cheats for a good Tinder profile. Feature walls. Next time you're in the city, South Yarra, Brunswick, anywhere with a nice backdrop, get your photo out, snap a nice selfie with a feature wall behind you. You can't go wrong. Something bright and colourful. It's a bit of fashion, a bit of design. It looks good, and it's a little bit more interesting than the car selfie or the classic heads on a pillow. I mean, like, how many times have you seen like the Tinder guy where he's like in bed and he's like, oh, my head's on the pillow, just snap the photo like that. I mean, nah. Get into your feature walls. They're a really quick, easy way to get a nice photo. Secondly, photos of you engaging in the hobbies and the things that you like. If you like fishing, do the fish photo. If you like dancing, a nice dancing photo. If you like surfing, whatever your hobbies are, incorporate those. So feature walls, hobbies. Cheat your way to a good Tinder profile. Finally, just the tip for you. This is a little bit of a random one, but we've had a few stories on Bad Dates of Melbourne of people getting catfish profiles. So a catfish profile is essentially when someone jumps on Google's like, hot models, screenshots some pictures and puts them on their Tinder profile. So the Tinder profile is not pictures of them, it's pictures of someone else. So if you're swiping through Tinder, How on earth do you avoid that? Like, how are you meant to know? Here's a hot tip from me to you. There's something called reverse image search. Now, a reverse image search is a function that lets you search for a picture on the internet. So next time you're on Tinder and you're chatting to someone and you think, I'm not totally confident that this person is using a real photo, screenshot the photo, Google reverse image search. Now, the one that I've been using is called TinEye, Tineye. Upload the photo and it will search the entire internet and look for that photo on the internet. Now, I found my matches on model Instagram pages, model pages, stock photos, you name it, I found them there. So if you're ever feeling sus about a photo, a reverse image search or something like TinEye is a really great way to just have that quick check and a little bit of peace of mind that the person hasn't nicked off with the profile. Look, is it 100% reliable? No, because they could get the photo from somewhere else, but it does help, and a lot of the time it'll give you the peace of mind that you need. So Remy's saying it's controversial promoting the fish photo. Look, I really don't like the fish photo personally, but I don't like fishing that much, so that makes sense. I do think if you do use the fish photo, that fish photo of someone holding, what have I got around here? Someone holding a shoe, a fish like this up in the photo and going, here's my dead fish. I mean, we've all seen that a million times, right? I mean, how about a nice photo of you on the boat or buying fishing gear or in your hat or, you know, eating a meal of fish? I mean, there's different ways to do the love of fish. Have a listen. What else have we got here? Reverse image search. Amazing. Yep, thank you very much. It is absolutely amazing. So let's get on to our final story. Now, this is a Bad Dates of Melbourne absolute classic. An absolute classic. Probably one of my most favourite Bad Dates of Melbourne stories ever. It's very unlikely you've heard it, so let's get into it. A couple of years ago, I broke my leg and couldn't walk or socialise much. I was starved for human contact and cooped up at home on the couch. So to cure my boredom, I downloaded Tinder. We've all been there, right? I wrote in my bio that I was currently one limb down. Up pops a cute boy with good banter who would be my knight in shining armour and come to my rescue. We decide to meet at a nearby bar at the beach, but by the time I arrive, he was already drunk. Now that is a common theme in Bad Dates of Melbourne, isn't it? Someone getting drunk before the date's even started. He orders another beer for himself, then walks ahead to grab a table. I ordered a drink but couldn't hold the glass and use my crutches at the same time, so I stood there until the bartender came to help me out. I sat down with my date and listened to him blabber nonsensically about his date about his life for an hour. He didn't ask a single question about me. Again, a very, very, very common theme in bad dates. I remember going on a date with a guy once, and I remember thinking at the end, that went really well. What's different about this date? And I've gone, oh, hang on, I know what it is. He's asked some questions about me. Mind blown. Where are we up to? I wasn't really into it and was kind of wanting to be horizontal with some sweet painkillers. So I told him I wanted to go sit on the sand by the water. He decides to help me carry my bag, but starts to walk fast. In just 2 minutes, he's miles ahead, while I'm still awkwardly hopping across the road and navigating the sand. Rude. In my mind, I had a flash he would do a runner with my wallet and leave me stranded. But thankfully, he turned around and came back when he realised I wasn't next to him. When we sit down, he takes my crutches and places them down next to me, away from me. Things start to heat up. Things start to heat up. Mid-smooch, he asked me if I lived nearby and if he could come home with me. I declined, saying I was staying with my parents as I was still healing. Honestly, wasn't feeling the vibe. he starts throwing a tantrum, saying that I led him on and he travelled an hour across the city just to see me. He said he didn't have any transport back to his house at this time of night. He wails, "Where did you expect me to sleep tonight?" I said I didn't know and that it wasn't going to happen. So what does he do? He takes my crutches and literally runs off with them into the moonlight. I was lying there on the sand, not being able to move. Like, what the actual heck just happened? Her crutches were stolen. I couldn't get very far by crawling, so I had to call my parents to come fetch me and carry me into my car. I made up a very dramatic tale as to why I was stranded at midnight by the ocean. In the morning, I get a message from him. I wonder what that message says, hey? I get a message from him on Tinder, apologising profusely, saying he just wants to come over and kiss me better. A match! I've got zero time for a crutch thief. Note to self, screen dates more carefully. Now, if that's not a Bad Dates of Melbourne classic, I don't know what it is. Lockie says, this is completely insane. It is probably one of the most insane stories I have ever received. Katie says, I recite this story when I'm trying to convince people to start following Bad Dates of Melbourne. I've actually told it on a podcast as well. It is the most wild, ridiculous, off the charts story. Gabby said here, a man baby story. It is a man baby story, cracking the sads, and then of course the next day getting that Tinder message saying, oh, I want to kiss it better. I mean, is that just not dating apps just in a nutshell, isn't it? Having a crutch stolen and then someone sending the message the next day. It is just shocking. Chevy says, you're so good at reading, it's so calming. You could get a job on Play School. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think they'd have me on Play School because I think I'm a little bit too filthy. But I appreciate the sentiment anyway. Play School, if you want me, I will come on Play School. You can have me. So I will wrap it up there. I wanted to say, if you do have a bad date story, whether it's happened in Melbourne or elsewhere, you can submit it to me at Bad Dates of Melbourne or at Bad Dates of Australia. Hit me up. All stories are published or read here anonymously, so the only person who knows your name is me. I'll tell you what, there is nobody in Melbourne who knows more dating juice than me. It is absolutely crazy, the stuff that happens in the Bad Dates of Melbourne and Bad Dates of Australia inbox. So hit me up. I would love to hear from you. Anyway, I'll just wrap it up there. And guys, as a little bit of a reminder, you know, I would go to the ends of the earth for love. But, you know, please don't ask me to cross the Yarra because I can't do it. I mean, crossing the Yarra is just too much for us in Melbourne here. Just leave it there. Anyway, thanks guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.